And we're live. Okay, welcome back. Bitcoin update. So, first and foremost, before we get into anything, I've got to do the usual thing. Big shout out to our partners over at BloFin. If you look down in the description, or if you're in the Discord, go into the Getting Started tab, you will find a link to BloFin on our link. And the beauty of this link is you will not only get 10% deposit bonus, but the big thing with this is you will get 20% off trading fees. Okay, so this is something that we negotiated with the guys by sacrificing our own commission, our own affiliate income. We can basically give that back to you guys so you get cheaper trading fees. Okay, so I myself day trade on BloFin now. Our other coach Cake trades on BloFin, and a lot of the members do. So obviously, if you do want to check them out, feel free to. If not, don't worry about it. But okay. So now we've got that out of the way. Bitcoin. It's been a fun last week and a fun start to this week, but it's been a bit dull since then. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through some trade recaps. I'm going to look through what I'm looking at next, and then I'm going to hand over to Cake. Okay, so first things first. Let's go on the public. So the public YouTube, this is a video that we did last week. So obviously, if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe. But we're talking about, really simply, we had a really good reaction from the lows down here. We did this on a public live stream. We actually took that trade live on a public live stream, talking about why we wanted to trade down here. And we traded this all the way up to brand new all-time highs, okay? And one of the ideas that I gave you on last week's public YouTube was if we do, and again, right, you need to listen to the words that I say in these videos. If we get above all-time high and then go sideways and stall and then start dropping below all-time high, then that's a fairly simple short trigger. And so you guys can learn from this. Why is it a simple short trigger? Well, what you've done here is you've broken above all-time high. And let's zoom into a lower term time frame so you can see this. You've broken above all-time high. Now, at all-time high, what's going to happen? You're going to have a few different things. You're going to have a bunch of people taking profits. Anyone that's been long since any of this, since the last all-time high, you're going to have people taking profits, which means they're selling. Now, in order for price to continue going up and get above this, you need aggressive participants. You need market buyers. So therefore, what have you got? You've got breakout traders. So breakout traders above all-time high, Trump narrative, all that good stuff, the usual stuff that all the influencers bait you in on. We're breaking out, new all-time high. And then they start coming up with some unrealistic targets, 250k, yada, yada, yada. It makes no difference what they are. What it is this incites FOMO. So these guys tried to push it up, ran out of steam. Then they started losing. Once they started losing, what happened? These guys then are underwater. So anyone that longed up here, on leverage or on spot, makes no difference. They're now officially underwater once it drops back below their average entry. Therefore, the further price moves away from this, the more these guys squeeze. And these guys then have to close out of the position. When they close out of their longs, what they're doing? They're selling. Selling. Breakout traders get destroyed as usual. And I don't know how many times I can tell you. Breakout trading is probably the worst thing you will ever do. Okay? Something I've never done ever since I started trading professionally. Just don't breakout trade. Okay? So really simple with that. Okay? Really simple idea. Now, in between them, we had a really good set of trades on this. We had Thursday, after the public video went out, we had a really nice, strong trending day. Okay? A really strong trending day. Now, at the end of that trending day, once it started to cool down, we had some really nice price action over the weekend, and it's probably the first weekend I've seen in a very long time where we've had some really clean price action. Now, personally, I don't trade weekends, so I leave updates for the members before I clock off on Friday, so therefore they know what levels are, in my opinion, the most critical. Okay? So, as you can see here, Friday night, I'm clocking off. Okay? This is at 9:20, way past my bedtime. Strong trending day today, very little reaction from key resistance zones. We did have resistance zones all the way up here, okay? But I can't look at the market bearish at the moment due to today's strength, okay? So for now, I still remain with a bias that she's most likely going to create a new all-time high at some point over the next week or so, okay? However, with that said, key levels to be aware of. support initially, locally, the 382, roughly around 102.6. Okay, 102.599, 102.6. Okay. The reason why I'm looking at this level here is if you are in a strong trending environment and you understand Fibonacci and you understand a little bit of Elliott Wave, what do you want to hold if you're in a strong trending environment? You want to hold that 382. Okay, that's critical to hold. You don't want to be losing that. Okay, we also had, in another style of trading, which I don't do, but Cake, who's on the call, does, we also had a 4-hour gap here as well. So it was a really nice confluent zone. Now, in the end, obviously, it gave the reaction on Saturday to bring us up to another high to take out this high. Now, at this point here, I'm coming in on Sunday night to give my evening update before I come back to work on the Monday. And you can see here, this is about 6 o'clock, so it's roughly about here. So it's before this high was put in. 382 held. Yep, great, cool. I think next 24 to 48 hours could be turbulent given the Trump inauguration. Can't say that word. And obviously the meme coin that got released too. Overall trend still points up, but we can't ignore that we've come out. We've ignored a channel break. Okay, we can't ignore a channel break. I can't speak today at all. Okay, and what did we have? We had this channel here. Okay, we had this channel here. I can't snap it onto there because I can't see it. It's somewhere around there. I'm just going to pretend it's there. There we go. So we came out with this channel. We had a channel break and we had an 886 just above Friday's highs, which are these highs here. So we had a lovely little swing failure pattern of Friday's highs into that 886 after breaking out of the channel and backtesting it, and then we plummet. And where do we plummet to? Local biggest spot, 100k zone. Okay, and quite simply, VWAP from the low, trending up. Okay, we also had more confluence here, but I'm not going to run into that right now. So yeah, we had this, and then obviously this on Sunday, coming into Monday morning, created the new all-time high. Okay. So some really nice trades over the weekend, and it's very unusual. Bitcoin doesn't normally trade that nice over a weekend. So the guys did trade some of that, and credit to them. Right. Obviously, if you want access to any of those updates, along with the God knows how much educational content we have, obviously, there'll be a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down in the description. If you're watching it in the Discord, then Getting Started channel, you'll find everything there. But obviously, you've got everything. So you've got my trading plans, stream 5 days a week, plus my swing trading plans, which we do every other week. You've got all of the course. Everything that I teach is all in here. So understanding if it's a strong trending day, understanding your Fibonacci levels that we've been using. Okay, why, which one's important, which one to use when, where to pull them from. Everything you could ever need is in here. Okay, so obviously if you do want to check out our course, feel free, come over. You've also got Cake's liquidity based course, which is now starting to pack out quite nicely. And you've also got Cake's trading room 3 days a week. So therefore that's live trading of traditional markets, NASDAQ specifically. Okay, so obviously if you want access to any of that, there's a link somewhere, go find it. Right, what's next? What's next? So there's a few areas to be aware of. As it stands right now, I'm not really that interested in trading this because this is horrendous PA. It's very weak, it's very limp. Okay, we've got no real participation. We can see this on the order flow. There's no real participation at all. We can see this across all markets. There's nothing's happening. So therefore, I'm not really interested in trading where we are right now. Could it bounce from there? Of course it could. And there's a reason why it could bounce from there. Okay, so if we actually go back into that and bring that same anchored VWAP back, and then we're going to bring on a volume profile like this, and then we're going to bring on one other thing, because it's the only things that I'm interested in right now are these. Okay, so let's drop it down the time frame. This is what I'm looking at next. These are the next levels that I'm interested in trading. Okay, so come here. Thank you. Right. You can see where we're bouncing from right now. We've got this value area high. Okay, we've got weekly open. We've got the anchored VWAP from these lows, from the 89k lows. This, ideally, would be support. However, I'm not a massive fan of it personally. If this does go up from here and goes without me, absolutely fine. I've got no problem with that. I will join in with that later. I still hold my long from down here as a bit of a hedge. Okay, but as it stands right now, I'm not seeing any major signs of strength. This could change within the next hour. It could change within the next day. We don't know. Okay, but as it stands right now, I'm not really interested in trading this area. If we do lose this area to the downside, the next significant support that we need to be aware of, realistically, would be that point of control, which has a nice confluence, if I can snap that on, with the golden pocket. Okay, bit of a zone. Everything's always a zone in trading. Never treat anything as a perfect level. So you've got a nice zone there. So if we do come down to there, and then we start showing some bullish price action, whatever your entry trigger may be, I have several. If I start seeing something that I want to see within here, then I will take a long trade. If I don't see something in here, and this doesn't meet my criteria, I will sit back and wait. Just like what's happening right now. Doesn't meet my criteria, so I will sit back and wait. Does something happen here? If it does, great, cool, I'll take a long. If it doesn't, no problem, I will wait for lower prices. If we're going to get lower prices, realistically, the next, I'm not going to say major support because it's not a major support, but the next zone that likely gets defended will be somewhere around this yearly open. So around this 786, yearly open, January open as well. Does this get a reaction? Does this give us something to work with? Yes, cool, I'll take a trade. If no, I will sit back and wait patiently. Because quite frankly, if this is lost, this isn't going to look great. If it starts going lower, realistically, if you are a bull, then you don't want to be losing this here. So if you start losing roughly around 85k, you've got a lot of thin air below. And if you want proof of thin air, then all we have to do is drag this volume profile back, bring it back to here, and you can see there, you've got nothing. You've just got a big empty span. Okay, the next real support comes in around 72, 73k. So that's downside. Upside, what happens if it does start moving out of here, either from where it is now or from lower? Well, quite frankly, if it starts reclaiming this and going up higher, there's pretty much, outside of taking out these highs as a swing failure pattern, there's one major resistance level to be aware of, which will be the point of control left over from Monday, which is up here, 108. But if you do clear past 108, then realistically, you'd be looking for a new all-time high. Now, once again, all-time high, what happens? Does it give us another simple swing failure pattern? Does it come up, bait in, breakout traders, and then start to lose? Well, if it does that, great, I will short it quite happily. If it doesn't do this, above and below, then I will sit back and wait patiently for higher prices. Okay. The next major level, if we can flip this into spot, will be 115k. That's the next zone I will be keeping my eye on. So 115k is a major zone. It doesn't mean I'm going to limit short there. It means I'm going to see if there's a reaction there. Okay. Right. That's the Bitcoin update. Before I move on, I just want to do one thing that I don't normally do, but I want to do this because it's worth shouting about. Okay. One of our members this week has done significantly well, and I want to give him a shout out. So I'm going to give him a shout out. Big shout out to Rouge. Rouge joined us back in November, I believe. I could be wrong with this. Okay. He's worked his fucking ass off. And I mean he's worked his fucking ass off by studying the content and learning from us. And learning from other guys in the group. Not just Cake and I, but learning. And he's achieved something that's pretty spectacular. Okay. So whether you're trading a prop firm or you're trading with your own money, it makes no difference. That is a great achievement. And a great achievement from hard work needs shouting about. So massive respect to Rouge for doing that. Hit a milestone today, guys. I'm sitting at the highest payout ever given by the prop firm I'm trading with. This is the highest ever P&L I've realised, and I did it in the span of 6 days. Can't thank Spitty and Cake. And Kai, enough. This space upped my trading game like never before. Just sharing some of my joy with you. And there's a screenshot because we're firm believers in honesty in this group. So, yeah, massive, massive well done to Rouge on that one because he's worked his fucking ass off to get there. And this is what happens. Come in with the right attitude, study, listen, apply, and, results speak for themselves. So, yeah, massive shout out to you. Right. Now I'm going to hand over to Cake. Over to you, mate.
Okay. So I'm going to rumble through this pretty quickly, just like Spitty did. I'm going to take a little bit more of a look of last week for similar reasons to Spitty's already mentioned. This week's PA is kind of nuts, and there's a big reason for that. So I'll probably just start off with mentioning this. You've got this news in the current week. So you've got, obviously, the inauguration was on the 20th, and you've got Trump speaking today. In between then, you haven't really got any major impact news, but you've also got PMI tomorrow. So the PA's been a bit funky. It's been unpredictable at times and extremely volatile to the upside from an NQ perspective at the moment. Cool little tip that we pulled out with a group recently is if you use, sorry, so it's next week's news. Where's it gone? There it is. Okay, so cool little tip. If you look at financial juice, so this is a cool little tip here. There was a pump which I'll talk about in a sec when I go over. But there was a pump that kind of came out of nowhere because it wasn't on the economic calendar. So if you go and you find financial juice, you'll be able to see what news is coming in at the time. And you'll be able to have a bit of an insight of what's going on behind the scenes. I think right now this is probably more important than ever because you're not getting news-driven pumps and things like that from the calendar. You're getting it from like Trump announcing tariffs and other things that he's doing. For instance, he recently mentioned about AI, so that's why NQ was pretty crazy bullish because you had that obviously that benefited things like Nvidia, so that's just something to bear in mind. So financial juice, check that out. So yeah, I'll just quickly go back over last week because the last public update I did was the week before last, so just have a little update of where we've been. So there's my previous week. Where are you? There it is. Okay, so starting off on the Monday, so if I go to this here. So on the Monday we had a London Open, and this just shows a really, really good example of how being in a bit of a team, you're able to share ideas and things like that. This was a trade I personally took using a concept that I literally was teaching that week and I was talking about a lot. But you can see here it was a really nice short that we caught here on the London Open, using concepts that we teach and we talk about all the time. Following on from that, on the Tuesday, we were able to get this on my birthday, which was a nice trade. If I just skip ahead, sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. So just skip ahead into Tuesday, you can see that we come into here. I'll just skip that. Apologies. Right, then Tuesday is a nice trade that we took. This was a long out of New York Open. So this uses a concept called SMT. So in this example, you can see we've got a nice breaker block here, 5-minute breaker block. We get this big news pump here on PPI. So this is drawing my attention. So I'm personally actually quite bullish in this, but this is a cool example of where you don't necessarily need to be right all the time to make money if your risk management's there and you have a decent enough entry model. So in this example, I use that 5-minute breaker block. As soon as we bounce on here, we create this SMT. SMT is just a stupid ICT term for a divergence. So once I get that divergence there with ES, there's my entry model right there. I've shown this entry model countless times now, so you don't know what it is. It's just an inversion. And all that is the bullish close above a bearish gap. So I went long in this position and caught a really nice trailing, really nice trade that trailed all the way up to these levels. And that's pretty much where I left it. That tended to move in the opposite direction. So just like I said, you don't necessarily need to know where price is going or have a particular bias. You just need to be able to have a model and be able to spot it and use your risk management. So when I entered this trade, as soon as we start pushing above this high, I'm just trailing my stops. So once it eventually turns around, I get stopped in profit. So that was just one of those. And then on to Friday. So I'm just going to skip ahead to Friday because I want to keep this short, and that's pretty much where the best trades happened. So like I said, the benefit of having a group setting is we're constantly in discussions around these key times and we're all using similar concepts. So at this moment here, I'll just pull that in. 1 minute chart. So we use this specific level, which I won't go into, but this level, this high, has a 90% hit rate. And the beautiful thing about how we use these statistics in our favor is not only can they help you get trades and make profits, but they can also keep you out of bad trades. So obviously, you know, I mentioned how my entry model is an inversion. Well, this is a bearish inversion, but it wasn't an inversion I was willing to short because I knew I had a 90% hit rate level above. So I'm not going to take a 10% probability short, am I? So what I did instead was I actually took that long, and I was able to catch that long, drawing higher on a 4-hour time frame. So just get those. You can see here, I was saying I am framing bullish candles. I'm framing a 4-hour bullish candle, and you can see that was the actual entry. A few of the guys actually caught that as well. So that was a really, really nice one. And then later on in that day, we got a really good short, which was just before I started my time module. So the last module I did was all about time and how you're able to utilize time to get some of the best trades, and some of the, some of the best risk to reward. So that's a concept here that helped me get this short. And I was literally in this trade prior to starting that module. So here we've got a standard deviation here. So nice little manipulation leg there, project it out, standard deviation. We're delivering off this 2 to 2.5 here. We sweep liquidity. I get a little low time frame entry model down there. It's like a 2-minute. And then I enter short there, stops at the high. I have draws on liquidity here, wickless open. I have a naked gap there, and that's exactly the trade I took. And then I began to teach. So that was last week in a bit of a nutshell. There was trades in between, but there are some of my favorite runs because they're actually taking place in the group at the time, and a lot of the other guys are taking them as well. So in this instance, we did actually go nuts and pump after this. So you can see we just go nuts, and this is where Trump starts to talk and this thing just goes crazy. So that's why it's so important to just know what's going on. So honestly, check out Financial Juice because it'll just give you a bit of an insight of what the hell he's talking about. So that was the Friday short, and I gave the lesson on how to trade this new time-based strategy, and a few of the guys started picking up on it, and we got some really great trades in the next week that followed. So catching up on this week, on the 20th, where are we? Yeah, so on the 20th, I actually wasn't able to catch this one because I needed to go to the gym, but I know a few of the guys did. So you can see here, King Tri caught it really nice, and eventually it hit profits. Got this here. Those guys were looking to get into those trades, and it was all based upon that strategy I gave the few days earlier. So that was that. You can see there, that was around where we were looking to enter this region here around 6 a.m., which is a 4-hour candle open. Big hint there about what the strat's about, and then you come for this previous 4-hour low and you run all that liquidity. Really, really nice. And yeah, that was the crazy news pump there. So you had oh, there it is. That's nice. So another example of these standard deviations. You pull in the standard deviation here, and you can see we bounce perfectly. It's a little bit off there. Let me fix that. There it is. So look, you absolutely perfect bounce in these standard deviations. But yeah, this was that news pump that was just crazy. So this was to do with the JPY or something like that, and it came out of nowhere. So again, just an example of why you need to be more aware of what's going on in the news. But it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. We don't win every single trade. Yesterday I did take a loss, and I jumped on stream to actually go through this trade as well. So this was my trade yesterday, and I was streaming live at the time. It met all the criteria that I wanted, and I was happy to short it. I did enter the short on a 5-minute time frame using the same entry model as I always do. It came below the 4-hour open, so I was liking the sign of weakness. We had S&T up there, which is the divergence of the ES, and ES was really, really weak at the time as well, but I just didn't get the follow through I was looking for. The target was this gap here, which is yet to be tapped, which is a naked 4-hour gap. So again, it's my draw on liquidity, and I just brought this to attention, even though obviously it's a loss, just to point out this fact here, which I think is really, really important and can help a lot of people. It's where I mentioned, like, I just took a loss, but I'm not really bothered about it, because here's the lesson. Like, if you can learn how to define a good loss and a bad loss, you're able to, you're able to look after your mental capital, and you'll be able to really, really focus on your strategies. So how I define a good loss versus a bad loss is, a good loss is a predetermined trading plan that didn't work out. It fits your criteria and your system or your model. And a bad loss is no prior planning. Like, you acted emotionally and without considerate thought. It was outside your system, like breakout traders. You see a red candle and you press sell. But oftentimes, if you can't see the liquidity, you are the liquidity. So that was just a quick little rundown. It was super, super fast. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. And at the minute, on a higher time frame perspective, I'm still actually looking for that naked 4-hour gap that I just mentioned. So you can see here, you've got this. It's a little bit ugly, but that is a naked gap. So that is a draw on liquidity for me. So I'm expecting price to interact with that level. And you've also got this 4-hour inversion here. So you close below this 4-hour. So I am expecting price to keep rotating down unless I see some serious bullish intent. Quick note I wanted to add that I didn't mention is we do have this daily inversion here, and we are currently backtesting it. So on a daily time frame, I'm biased to the upside to this yellow line. You can see I've just posted that in the group as well. But it is my preference to potentially come lower so that we can go higher. And you've got news coming up in the next hour. So just something to be aware of. And that's pretty much it. Like next week, you've got some big news coming again. Like you've got FOMC. Again, this is a really, really, really important point in the economic calendar that you really need to be aware of. So Tuesday is going to be affected by it. Like the actual day, Wednesday, is going to be tricky. And this bleeds into crypto as well. Like you'll see the volatility that these kinds of events induce. So you just have to be aware of the economic calendar and what's going on. A lot of traders don't like it and they'd rather just trade technically. I get that, but just be aware of it so you're not in a position and you can cover your stops if some major volatility is imminent. And that's about it. I just want to do something similar and finish off with some shout outs because there's a few of the guys who I consider like the TradeFi team who have been absolutely killing it lately. So see if I can fix this. So a few of them are, we've got Trowley up here who's just secured another payout. Really, really proud of that guy. He was one of my first ever students when I started doing mentorships. He's absolutely smashing it. He's just an example of persistence and hard work. And then a few of the other guys as well who are just banging out trades every single day, turning up every single morning. You've got Bernsey, King Try. You got Paramount, who's one of my more recent students. He's absolutely smashing it as well. Really, really happy with him. And then Odinson, who's just joined us recently as well. He's turning up every single day, absolutely killing it. And then you've got Evelyn over here, who's literally just started trading with that strategy that I gave everybody on Friday. And she's absolutely in love with it. She's already making trades, and you can just see there the comments are pretty great. And yeah, it's a good time to be in the group, to be honest. Like I've mentioned on Twitter a few times, it's a thriving community, and we're really enjoying it. And there's no place I'd rather be. So that's me, to be honest. Spitty, anything from you?
No, that's everything from me, mate. I think we've covered everything. Just obviously to touch on what you said about the economic news that's coming in next week. Obviously, we've also got some news coming in this afternoon as well. So
yeah,
it's not necessarily trading from the news, as Kate also mentioned. It's just being aware that volatility is due potentially on these news events.
You've got Trump speaking at 4 today.
Yeah, like that. You've got to be aware of these things. It's not something that you can't plan a trade around it. The news doesn't give you an entry, an invalidation, and a take profit. But you've got to be aware that if the volatility comes, and if I'm going to use crypto as an example, and you're trading an illiquid altcoin, and bear in mind all altcoins are illiquid, and you've got a tight stop loss, but you've got a fairly decent position size, you are going to experience slippage. So rather than losing that 1R that you've pre-planned, you could lose 2R, 3R, 4R. You might not even get filled. So you've got to be aware when these things are happening. This is when inexperienced traders get destroyed because of things like slippage. So just be aware and make note of when you get these times.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's me done.
And yeah, just be super careful. Like me personally, the reason I was talking more about last week is because like right now I'm a lot more risk off. Like I don't really want to risk too much. We had a really, really good start to the year with a couple of payouts already, so I'm not in any rush to go blowing any accounts or anything like that with unfavorable price action, put it that way.
Okay. Right. Well, in that case, it looks like we've got no questions, mate, so let's get that wrapped up.
Sweet. Is there no questions? No?
When moon.
Probably when Trump speaks.
Cheers, guys. No worries. Right, we'll get that wrapped up. If you're watching this back on YouTube afterwards, then and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And do us a favour, guys, hit that like button. And yeah, see you, buys.
See you.